Hello everyone, and welcome to SCNM's webinar. We're very excited to bring you this interactive online experience that will let you learn more about careers and opportunities in naturopathic medicine, and also share with you examples of alumni practicing out in the field. My name is Eve Belotis, and I will be your host for today's webinar. Today you'll be hearing from Joanna Hagan, SCNM's Career Services Director. Joanna has been the Director of Career Services at SCNM for 12 years. In her position, she offers students and alumni guidance, advice, and assistance on all things career-related, from job placement and CV development to market data. The Career Services Department also assists graduates in finding positions, building a practice, making connections, and advancing careers as NDs. Joanna has over 30 years of healthcare marketing and finance management experience derived from the insurance HMO world, and has assisted hundreds of physicians in building their practices by using marketing through networks, and simultaneously created her own coaching business in 1997. She's focused on assisting the naturopathic medical field since 1998, concentrating most of her efforts to increase the success of naturopathic physicians. Her passion and mission in life is to change the healthcare system in the U.S. so it's more effective and efficient. And SCNM is proud to have Joanna as our Career Services Director. She's actually the first Career Services Director in the field, and is the only full-time Career Services Director. So we're very lucky to have her. With that, let me turn it over to Joanna to begin our presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Joanna Hagan, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you the careers, compensations, and opportunities of naturopathic medicine. I want you to know that one of the features of SCNM is this fabulous weather that we have. Right now it's about 80 degrees, and it goes as low as about 49 today, so it is absolutely drop-dead gorgeous outside. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about a school. This slide that I am showing you here talks about the use of natural medicine, which has been steadily increasing throughout the decades. As you can see by this National Health Studies division of the CDC chart, the use of natural medicine has increased from 13 billion to 34 billion, over doubling in 17 years and increasing by 26% in the last 10. Age groups. The demographics of natural medicine was documented by the CDC, and it shows that the use of natural medicine is dominated by the ages of 50-59. This is the baby boomers. But notice that the use of naturopathic medicine is almost 40% throughout the entire country. In addition to that, notice this over here, and notice this over here. This particular part of the slide tells me that people over the age of 70 and 80 up to 85 are using naturopathic medicine. Now, what does this tell me? It tells me that since naturopathic medicine is not currently covered by Medicare, and we're working very hard to have that changed, these people feel that this medicine is so important to them that they are willing to pay cash for it. And this particular segment is continuing to grow. The next slide tells us that the use of naturopathic medicine is also being used by young people, and this is continuing to grow, and we're also seeing this in our placements, in our requests for pediatrics and young adult medicine. This particular slide talks about the growth of naturopathic licensure over time. You know, you can practice naturopathic medicine in almost every state in the United States. Licensed states usually have broader scope. The broadest scope of practice right now is in Arizona, but there are other states which are very close to it, such as Vermont. In an unlicensed state, and this is the areas that are yellow or beige here, you can practice lifestyle counseling, hydrotherapy, botanical medicine, homeopathy, nutrition, and order naturopathic tests. Each state in the United States determines what a naturopathic doctor can do. And oh, what an ND can do. First of all, in many cases, you act as a nutritionist, and you're a lifestyle coach. You're 2/3 to a half of an acupuncturist. And the reason why we say 2/3 to a half of an acupuncturist, because in Arizona, you do not need an additional license in order to practice acupuncture, as is true for other states. So by the time you graduate, you have either 2/3 or a half of an acupuncturist degree. And some of our students go on and get their licensed acupuncture degree from the state that they decide they want to practice. In addition to that, and this is important, you will learn everything an MD family practitioner learns. You're going to be able to prescribe drugs, order lab tests, do minor surgery, deliver babies, sign birth and death certificates, do IVs, injection therapy, order tests, and the list goes on and on. You're also going to be able to do naturopathic manipulation, which is similar to, but not exactly like, chiropractic. You're going to be an herbalist. You're going to learn homeopathy, so you're going to be a homeopathic practitioner, hydrotherapy, and much, much more. The list continues. Now, when you open up your practice, you can create a general practice, but you can also have a focused practice or an area of concentration. Now, you notice I didn't use the word specialist. The reason for that is the word specialist is actually a legal term, and it is determined by the profession, and these particular areas, with the exception of one or two, are focused areas. Let me give you some examples of how women's health is being used. We have Dr. Jennifer Nevels, MD, and you can look her up. You can do some links. We have Dr. Seema Aidoon, and I believe she's in Scottsdale, and all they do is see women and deal with their women's health issues. And then we have men's practices. Dr. Matt Caviola, naturopathic physician, he is an example of somebody who went on and got his licensed acupuncture degree. He went on for another 18 months and picked that up. He sees men for their anti-aging issues, and Dr. Jean-Luc Le Provost sees primarily men for their issues. That's actually a hot area. Focused practices in cardiology. Dr. June Stevens is practicing in Tucson, and she is the very first naturopathic physician to have been on the Arizona Cardiology Association's board. She also is an adjunct faculty at the Integrative Medicine program at the University of Arizona. In addition to that, we have Dr. Decker Weiss, who is an author and speaker, as well as a private practice owner. Dr. Weiss has traveled all around the world speaking about the wonders of naturopathic medicine. He's also been hired by a Belgian nutraceutical company. And his latest development is he's created the Conrad Kale Cardiology Fellowship, which, after you complete your education here at Southwest College, you can go 2 years beyond college and work with Dr. Weiss in his program. And by the end of that program, you will be considered an angiologist, which is a specialty, and have hospital privileges. Pediatrics, as I mentioned earlier, pediatrics is particularly hot right now. It is probably next to the general medicine request. It is the most requested type of naturopathic physician that people are looking for. So Dr. Jamie Oskin specializes in homeopathy for children, and Dr. Jessica Mitchell, who practices right here at Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine, she practices not only naturopathic medicine, but also all botanicals, and she's also a residency director. Oncology. Have you ever heard of Cancer Treatment Centers of America? Well, if you see any of your ads, you should look for Dr. Lucas Timms, because one of the things that Cancer Treatment Centers of America focuses on is the use of naturopathic medicine in addition to the traditional allopathic treatment of cancer. They are the largest non-academic employer of naturopathic physicians. Dr. Dan Rubin is also practicing in North Scottsdale. He is co-founder of one of the true specialties within naturopathic medicine, the oncology specialty. And he has been invited to many hospitals with many MDs as a oncology, a natural medicine specialist, advising MDs on how to treat their patients. Aesthetics. Dr. April Darley just created her Evolve Natural Wellness program, and she was trained by Derma Health Institute in laser. Yes, you can do laser surgery. This is minor surgery. This is not internal cavity, but this is on top of the skin. She can do face peels. They can do injections, and yes, legally we can inject with Botox. Dr. Sunil Jain has had his Rejuvena Health and Aesthetics for many years, and from what I understand, he is also Dr. to Steve Nash. And then we also have focused practices in environmental medicine. We have Dr. Dave Arneson, who created the River Source Medical and Detox Center. And this particular application of environmental medicine is for people coming off pharmacy addictive drugs, as well as alcohol and other substance abuses. And he's had tremendous success. It alleviates the symptoms of withdrawal. And then we have Dr. Carol, and that is her name, and she is a psychologist who went on to get her naturopathic degree, and she has a counseling and emotional focus. So she has an understanding of the nutritional and spiritual components of emotional and mental health. And then we have ADD, ADHD. We have Dr. Crystal Tellier, Health for Life, and she does a lot of work with children and with brain mapping and biofeedback. You can literally take a kid off of Ritalin and change their life permanently as well as their families. So Dr. Tellier is doing that. Pain relief, huge area. Dr. Jason McNeil has set up his practice up in North Scottsdale. He's created Defeat Pain, and Dr. Rob Berg, Transform You. Both of these doctors are effective in using prolotherapy. Prolotherapy is an injection of lanacane and sugar into the joint, and believe it or not, that injection irritates the joint so much so that the white blood cells surround the injured area, and then that particular area begins to heal. I personally, I'm a walking advertisement for naturopathic medicine. I personally have benefit from this because I've had a torn meniscus that has been completely healed, and that was just verified with an MRI. So, and I only took 2 shots in order to do that, so I'm like thrilled. Focused practices, weight loss. Well, what person who knows every aspect of nutrition and the general allopathic medicine would know about weight loss? Dr. Brendan McCarthy from Protea Medical Center has created a huge clinic where he's using HCG, as well as Dr. Lisa Matoro from Matoro Medical. She's also created her own protocol for weight loss. And I would say just about every naturopathic physician that I know of has some element of weight loss involved in their practice. Now, these are the careers, and it's by no means limited to just this list. But I have to tell you, about 90% of SCNM graduates are pretty much clinicians. But that is not all you can do with this degree. You can also be a researcher, and you can work on NIH-funded projects and qualify for student loan repayment, or you can create clinical research, such as Dr. Alan Christensen in North Scottsdale, and you'll see in the next slide. Or you can be involved with natural products and nutraceutical development. You can private label your own formulas and supplements. Or you can be a medical educator for a nutraceutical company such as Christy Anderson for Heal Incorporated. We'll see that. Or you can travel around the world giving talks and being paid for it, or writing books, or even creating TV programs, and we'll have a slide on that. In public health, it's recommended to get a master's in public health and work within an agency and be contracted to do outside projects. Or you can get involved in global public health, and you'll see a slide on that. Academia. Many NDs love to teach. If you remember on one of the first slides, docere is one of the principles of naturopathic medicine, and it is Latin for to teach. When you graduate with your degree, you will have the equivalent of a doctorate and can teach at almost any university, college, community college, online college, allied health schools on a variety of different topics, such as basic sciences, anatomy, physiology, chemistry, alternative medicine overviews, or just general health. Now, what is important for you to know is that MDs many times use a combination of income streams, such as clinicians doing teaching, so they have two sources of income going on here. Or a clinician can have a private practice, be a spokesperson for a nutraceutical company, or you have a clinician that will be doing book tours, radio talk shows and TV spots, so they're being brought in as an expert, but it's also advertising. In public health, I've seen them be a researcher as well as do academia. You can literally call your own shots in this particular profession. Here we have an example of an alumnus, Dr. Alan Christensen, who wrote a book about his thyroid research, Thyroid for Dummies. In this particular case, not only is he getting income for his book, he's also creating advertising for his practice, and he had reimbursement for the supplement companies that he used to perform his research. And here we have Dr. Christy Anderson, a medical educator for Heal Incorporated. Dr. Anderson was hired from a program that we have on campus called the Student Rep Program. The Student Rep Program is a series of nutraceutical companies and supplement companies that actually hire our students on campus. They pay them an outrageous sums of money, like $200 to $400 a month, for about 15 hours of work per month, because that's about all the time you have. What happens is, over the years, if they like you, they can open doors for you and introduce you to influential doctors. And after graduation, they will hire you or could hire you. And that's exactly what happened with Dr. Christy Anderson. She did quite a bit of work for Heal, and then when she graduated, she was brought on a full-time basis. And then we have media and medical communications. We have Dr. Denise Warden, ND, who has been offered a PBS special on comparing alternative medicine to allopathic medicine. And now we have some samplings of SCNM alumni authors. The Greatest Energy Always Prevails, Volume 1 by Dr. Onley Ely, Dr. Alan Christensen we mentioned, Dr. John Robinson, The Hormone Zone, Dr. Kurt Tyson, The Raw Truth, Dr. Tina Mercantile, Imagine a Whole Different Kind of Medical Care, Dr. Rob Stridesfeld, Healthier Ever After, and Dr. Andrea Purcell, Feed Yourself. And our media and medical communications star is Dr. Holly Lucille from Los Angeles, California. And she has obviously written a book. She's been featured on Lifetime television for women and Discovery Health Channel. She's a guest star on a number of radio and TV shows. In 2007, she was listed in Time Magazine's alternative list as one of the top 100 most influential people. And she just recently appeared on the Dr. Oz show. Also, for public health, we have public global health. This is Sean Hepler, who is founder of Naturopaths Without Borders, and that you've got the URL there so that you can access that. And then also, this is an example of a person that's gone full-time in academia. Dr. Sabine Garrett is an associate professor in the biomedicine department and at Grand Canyon University in Phoenix. So let's talk a little bit about income. You notice I'm not using the word salaries, because one of the things you're going to know, or it's important for you to know, is that you're going to get money from various different sources. You're not going to be in corporate America anymore where you're going to get a pay stub and all your taxes are going to be taken out and your benefits. You're going to be getting money from seeing patients and selling nutraceuticals and being paid for your speaking engagements or doing some contract work. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, that means you can choose where and how long you want to work. You can choose who you want to treat, and you can make money. And here's our example, is Dr. Sharon Stills. She, on average, was bringing in $1 million gross revenue and taking home $500,000 per year. And she was doing that not just once, but year after year after year. You can learn more about her by going to drstills.com. A mature naturopathic practice averages about $90,000 take-home, and the average income is $70,000. Now, with that being said, you need to know that because you are starting your own practice, it does take time to get to those numbers. So when you first graduate, you're not going to be seeing $90,000 take-home or $70,000 take-home. You're probably going to see something closer to $35,000 or $40,000. And then the next question I get is, well, how long will it take for me to get up to those numbers? And the answer is it depends. It depends on the kind of work that you do while you're here at SCNM, how you've set up your practice, your contacts, your resources. I can, on average, say anywhere between 2 to 3 years you should be there. And our National Association says that in the 5th and 6th year of practice, a dramatic rise in income occurs. Now, not only are you making halfway decent money or really good money, but you're also loving what you do. I mean, how many people do you know in this world get up in the morning and want to go to work? I mean, this is phenomenal. 78% of naturopathic physicians surveyed that they were not only satisfied with their work, but they actually loved their work. And who wouldn't? I mean, when you go and provide hope for someone that doesn't think that they have any options for health, or you take a kid off of Ritalin and permanently change their life and their family, it's so satisfying. And I think that's one of the reasons why we see these statistics. And here's the other thing. You don't need to worry about paying back your loans, because here's our statistic. 99.9% of the time students pay back their loans. That's a 10-year number. Usually it's 0, but recently we've just had some things happen, and so it's 99.9. So you don't need to worry about paying your loans, because everyone does. And here's some comments of some naturopathic physicians about how they feel about the profession. I humbly enjoy helping people change their lives and watching them blossom into their best health possible. Dr. Yolanda Rodriguez. Each day is different, depending upon who walks through our doors. Every day is rewarding when you're making a difference in people's lives. Dr. Kristen Fuji and Dr. Diana Keith. We feel so fortunate to share naturopathic medicine with those in need. We enjoy our close relationships with patients and walking beside them in their journey to good health. Dr. Sean Hepler and Dr. Sarah Preston. So, what does the Career Center do for you? Well, what we do is we provide a concentrated source of naturopathic opportunities. And you can access that, since you don't have my SCNM, but you can access that on scnm.edu on the Alumni tab, and click on job postings, job preview, and you'll get that. Those will give you an idea of what is sitting out there. available to you. I have been posting jobs from Thailand to Alaska, Puerto Rico, any state in the United States. Everyone is looking for a naturopathic physician. We also provide up-to-date information on the statistics of the profession, state scopes of practice. You can see income and compensation date, placement rates, demographics, profiles, opportunities. We also assist in curriculum vitae preparation, which, by the way, a curriculum vitae, known as a CV, is the doctor's version of a resume. Again, you are no longer in corporate America now. You are going to be considered a professional. And cover letter presentation. You're going to need that to apply for off-site rotations while you're here at SCNM. We also assist in naturopathic residency personal statements and essays. And yes, naturopathic medicine does have residencies. Currently, we have about 50 residencies for about 550 graduates annually. Needless to say, the competition is very stiff, and the Career Center has about a 95% placement rate for anyone who works with the Career Center. They generally wind up at the residency. Every Wednesday is Career Day, Career Development Day, where I bring in successful naturopathic physicians talking about their unique ways of using the degree to make money or any other current topic. And I also update you on networking opportunities so that you can go to conferences to meet the big names of naturopathic medicine and probably hook up with them, and even the big names in allopathic medicine, because one of the things we're finding is that once MDs know what you know, which is everything that they know, plus all the alternative, they want you because you are unique. There's not a lot of you that have that kind of knowledge. This is a lifelong benefit, and we help you from prospective students to all the way to alumni. And here is my contact information, and I guess at this point we're ready for questions.
Thanks so much, Joanna. That's such a great wealth of information. So a question did come in. A prospective student was wondering how ND school differs from allopathic school, and was also wondering about the quality of life for students. So Joanna, I'll take this one then, and if you want to chime in. So
okay.
Our students learn everything that allopathic students learn, plus so much more. So your first 2 years are spent on basic sciences. You also learn about all the ologies, so cardiology, rheumatology, all of those. Plus, you learn about all the natural, all the modalities, whether it be acupuncture or nutrition or herbs and botanicals, physical manipulation, all those extra tools that you have in your toolbox to be able to help patients. Our students also learn about pharmacology because they have to know how the supplements that they prescribe, if there's any fear of interaction with prescription medicines that their patients are on. So our students learn that. So very similar to allopathic, except our students learn even more. Now, as far as quality of life, I'm not sure exactly what the question was getting at, but I would say, medical school is very, very difficult, whether it's allopathic, osteopathic, or naturopathic. So our students study, spend a lot of time studying and have the same, I would say, similar experiences in that respect as their allopathic or osteopathic counterparts. Anything that you would add to that, Joanna?
I would say that there's an emphasis on balance. We have fun here, guys. We have a lot of fun. Not that we have fun all the time, but there is definitely a balance. We have trips that will take you to different countries if you want to get involved in different organizations. This is a robust student body, and a lot of leaders within the profession and within the colleges come from here. So if you're interested in a particular thing, or hiking, or biking, or river rafting, these are all, I know that all these things exist. Phoenix is known for its urban hiking, so you just turn around and walk five or six blocks and you're looking at mountains. there's just so much stuff to do here that when you're ready to balance your studying time, you will be able to find it. This is a very cosmopolitan area in spite of what some people might think. Lots of culture here.
Great. Thanks so much for adding to that. So our next question, Joanna, can you talk a little bit about the length of residency programs and maybe remind our audience talk to our audience a little bit about residency programs. There's quite a few questions about that.
Okay. Residency programs, number one, are post-medical school, number one. Number two, they can average anywhere, usually it's 1 year, sometimes it's 2, sometimes you can get a fellowship, which would make it 3. There are 50 of them. The vast majority of them are in general medicine. We have about 1 or 2 that are women medicine focused, and 6 of them are oncology oriented. 4 of that 6 is being sponsored by Cancer Treatment Centers of America. They pay about $35,000, maybe a little bit more than that. And you too, for $35,000 a year, get the opportunity to work 50 to 60 to 70 hours a week working under some of the top doctors in the field. So you're getting a lot of really great experience and you're paying your dues, basically. They're all over the country, too.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Joanna, can you speak a little bit about take-home averages or the success of our alumni in non-licensed states?
You know, this is really amazing. Sharon Stills, the one that was doing $500,000, unlicensed states. Can you believe that? Unlicensed practitioners actually make more. We don't know. We're figuring that out. I think a lot of it is because of competition. They make more. So Sharon Stills is a perfect example of that. Johnsy Justin just sold her practice for a tidy sum in Texas. Now she's over here in a fellowship, so that's an unlicensed state. Yeah, I think it's another. Believe me, you can make money in unlicensed states, guys.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just a follow-up question to the residencies. The question is, do all students have to do a residency? The answer to that is no. So that is one of the way that ND education differs from allopathic. You do not have to do a residency. Residency opportunities are growing, and more students are choosing to do residencies because it does give them opportunity, as Joanna said, to get more experience before they go out on their own or enter practice with other doctors. So Joanna, can you speak to if there's opportunities to work with other people, to join other doctors' practices or potentially work with MDs, especially if you're afraid of building your own practice? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great question. About 46%, almost 50% of our grads all hook up with another doctor. And the reason for that is number one, they just want to be with their clinical mentor. And number two, we give you lots and lots of opportunity to learn how to run a practice. But when you're trying to run a practice and practice your clinical skills, sometimes that can be a little daunting. So what you want to do is you want to borrow all of that business acumen from another doctor. And what people do is they either rent a room within a larger practice or they share fees with another doctor. So they're kind of like building a mini practice within a much larger practice. Now the reason why that happens is because the other doctors aren't going to take you in initially because they want to make sure that you know how to cut it. After about a year or two of in that kind of an arrangement, if you do what you're supposed to do and everything works out, then you will be invited to be part of the group and share expenses on a profit and loss basis, and that's kind of how it works. Now, often I see that when that offer comes through, they realize that they can actually make more money on their own now that they know what they're doing, and they spin off and start their own practice and now invite new grads with them. So that's kind of what happens. And yes, you can work with MDs want you. As a matter of fact, we have MDs hiring MDs. Get that.
Great,
Yes.
thanks, Joanna. We have a couple of questions about the healthcare legislation and individuals wondering how that is going to affect the profession. Can you speak to that?
Yes. Number one, the diabetes prevention program, we fall right into that because a lot of what we do not only prevents diabetes, but we can also reverse it with some lifestyle changes. So that is a big opportunity for us. But the thing that we feel is that we're going to do just fine is because there is a non-discriminatory amendment to the Affordable Care Act that does not allow insurance companies or the government to discriminate against any practitioner who's licensed in the state. So therefore, if you're in a licensed state, whatever situation you're in, you're pretty much going to have exactly what you have now. The other thing, too, is that we feel that over time, there might be an accessibility issue where people are going to find that it may take 1 or 2 or 3 weeks to get in to see a doctor because we're seeing MDs dropping out of the system. So what does that mean? That means for us, we're going to be doctors that they can quickly go and see and get taken care of. And one of the things we know is that once a patient goes to a naturopathic physician, they never go back to their MD, or very rarely. So once you go to an MD, you just don't go back, or at least you know what you could have. And that kind of happens. We also are involved in healthy eating and affordable, good, healthy food, teaching communities on that. And the other thing that also gives us a leg up is that we are getting clinical results where typical traditional medicine is not. And that's something the federal government is going to pay attention to. So we've got lots of opportunity looking forward, going forward.
Great, thanks, Joanna. You touched on this a little bit. You mentioned that pediatrics and general medicine were growing areas in naturopathic medicine. Are there any other hot areas that you think will experience growth in the next few years?
You know, I've been seeing a lot in sports medicine. I thought that was kind of interesting. That's been kind of percolating up for quite a while. Let's see, what else? Oncology is growing by leaps and bounds. There's more and more cancer centers that are being opened up, and people want what we have because we can diminish a lot of the symptoms of chemotherapy. So I would say oncology is a strong one. Sports medicine is a strong one. I'd also say men's health. The men are finally getting it. You know, women have been way ahead of the curve on that one, but I think men are getting, and they pay. Those guys really want to get healthy. The people that are showing up now, those baby boomers, they're serious about their health. So I would say those three. But by far, I would say number one would be sports medicine. I'm getting a lot of interest on that. Number two, oncology. And number three, men's health.
Great, thank you. There's also a question about job placements in Europe. Have you seen any need for NDs in Europe, and what does the international landscape look like?
Right. That probably is enough for another webinar. It's interesting. In Europe, naturopathic medicine, parts of it never went away from the traditional MD environment. For instance, in France and in Germany, MDs practice homeopathy, whereas here in this United States, MDs practice homeopathy, or we have specialized homeopathic practitioners. In Germany, they have Heilpraktikers, which is health practitioners which practice pretty much naturopathic medicine. In Spain, the same thing. The MDs are doing homeopathy. Actually, they have their own brand of homeopathy in Spain, and also that carries over to South America, kind of thing. The French are totally into nutrition and eating, as well as the Italians. And Britain has homeopathic hospitals even. The British Isles do. Now, in terms of demand, that's a good question. I got to be honest with you, I just don't see that much of a demand for it. Although, it's funny this question came up because just this morning I was working with one of our students who wants to practice in Europe. So I would have, whoever's answering that question, I would have them look at what's called biological medicine. I would have them look at a company called Paramedica, which does pleomorphic and SCNM products. It's pleomorphic and SCNM, S-A-N-U-M products. And that's headed out of Switzerland, and they're very big out here as well as in Europe. And that would give you probably an edge. If you could do those kinds of therapies, you might be able to get some opportunities in Europe.
Great. And can you talk about the demand for MDs in Canada?
Huge. Man, they are really growing. That is really amazing. Canadian economy is doing very well. British Columbia has probably the broadest scope of any of the provinces. I know that the Canadian Naturopathic Medical Association is just booming. In certain places they figured out, in certain provinces they figured out how the system can actually be reimbursed. So yeah, I get ads for Canada all the time for people to come up and practice. So yeah, I would definitely say there's a good opportunity there.
Great, thank you. So there you see my contact information, so feel free to email me, again, if you'd like a copy of the webinar or if you have more specific questions. There's also another question about, do we have students with families? Yes, many of our students have families. It's definitely doable. How many students start in a given year? We do have 2 intakes, one in the fall and one in the winter. This past fall was our largest incoming class with 96 students, and our winter intake is smaller, anywhere from 30 to 40 students, and that starts in January. And if you've met your prerequisites and are ready to move to Arizona, we do have just a couple spots left for our winter intake. So if you're ready to get going, that's definitely not outside of the realm of possibility. Average age of students, so the average age of our incoming class in the fall was 31. So we do have students that come straight from undergrad, but many individuals that are doing this, as a second career or maybe even a third career. The difference between naturopathic medicine and osteopathic medicine. Joanna, I'll let you chime in here as well, but osteopathic medicine focuses on the spine and they do a lot of osteopathic manipulation, which is physical manipulation with an osteopathic bent, if you will. So our students learn that as well, but again, they learn all the other natural modalities that an osteopathic student would not learn, like acupuncture, like nutrition, like botanicals, herbs, all those other tools that you would have in your toolbox to assist your patients.
I'm gonna chime in here.
Yeah, please do.
We actually have had former osteopathic students enroll in our classes, and when I talk with them, here's what they tell me. When I went to osteopathic school, I was disappointed because I wasn't getting enough of the alternative. So that might give you an idea of where the emphasis is. Osteopathic medicine is mirroring the allopathic profession, very much so. And I think, in a way, this is my opinion, many times they don't emphasize the alternatives as much as they should. So I'll just leave it as that.
Great, thank you so much. We have another question about practicing. So how many patients do NDs typically see? And again, it does vary depending on the way that you have your practice set up. Most naturopaths will spend anywhere between an hour to 2 hours on a first patient visit, with subsequent visits ranging from 30 to 45 minutes. So again, it's really up to you and how you structure your practice, but it is much different than seeing a traditional doctor where you typically spend 5 or 10 minutes with a patient. So you're able to spend more quality time with your patients, which allows them to allow their patients to reach optimal health. other questions. So we do have a question about how demanding is the program and do people ever not finish? And yes, it is a demanding program. Really take that to heart. It is medical school, and we do have some students that don't finish for a number of reasons. And our graduation rate is about 85%. We have a question about who the oldest graduate was.
The oldest matriculant was 66, and she finished the program in 4 years. So what was she, 71?
Yeah, probably about 70 or 71, depending on her birth date.
Yeah. And she's practicing in Prescott, Arizona.
So yes, to the person that just chimed in who's 48 and considering applying next year, by all means, that is, yes, please apply, especially if this is your passion. We find that that's one of the things that makes our students so successful is they're passionate about this medicine, regardless of what time in their life they found it. So don't let that deter you. We've also had a couple of questions about tuition. So tuition is $279 per credit, which on any given year, depending on the credits, averages to anywhere between $25,000 to $27,000 a year. But again, don't let that deter you. Our students are eligible for financial aid, and we have a wonderful financial aid administrator that works very closely with our students on loans, on loans. And as Joanna said, our students pay their loans, and there are a lot of loan repayment options that are quite, that really work for our students. The tuition is the same for Canadian students. So we thank you so much for joining us for this presentation. It's really such an exciting time for the profession as the public is wanting a different kind of medical experience, as more people are learning about the medicine. It's really a wonderful and exciting time to join the field. So thank you so much. We, again, appreciate your interest in SCNM and the profession, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.